Let me tell you something. Beloved, in a world where everybody wants fast money, instant fame, microwave miracles, and 5 steps to success in 5 minutes, we've forgotten a sacred truth. We are living in a time where people have become addicted to ease, addicted to quick, addicted to comfort, addicted to skipping steps. We've trained ourselves to believe that the shortcut is the way, that if it's not fast, it's not right, that if it's not immediate, it must not be from God. But that is a deception, that is a myth, and it's costing people their destiny. Too many people are trying to microwave what God meant to marinate. They're rushing processes that were designed to transform them. They're trying to get the reward without the requirement. You see, shortcuts look appealing because they seem to save time, but what they actually do is rob you of wisdom, endurance, and the power to sustain what you receive. Shortcuts promise you the crown without the cross. They promise glory without grinding. They promise position without process. But anything you get too quickly without developing the discipline to handle it, you will lose. You can inherit something you're not mature enough to maintain. And what's worse is that when you lose something that was never truly yours to begin with, it wounds your confidence and convinces you that you're not worthy, when in truth you just weren't ready. It's not that you're not called. It's not that you're not gifted. It's that you've been deceived into thinking that skipping the struggle is the same as arriving at success. But you can't skip becoming. You can't bypass the stretching. You can't leap over the breaking and think you're going to walk in blessing. Because God is a God of order, and there is an order to elevation. When you take the shortcut, you take yourself out of order. You jump ahead before you're rooted. You move without maturity. You chase platforms without preparation. And when you rise without a foundation, you will collapse under pressure. The higher you go, the deeper your roots must be. That's why shortcuts are so dangerous, because they lift people up before they've grown down. There are no shortcuts to building character. There are no shortcuts to learning how to suffer well. There are no shortcuts to growing strong under fire. Every time you escape the lesson, you prolong the process. Every time you try to dodge the discipline, you delay the destiny, because the short cut is never short, it's actually the long way in disguise. It'll cost you more time. It'll cause you more pain. It'll send you back to the beginning again and again until you learn the thing you tried to avoid. That's why some of us are stuck in cycles, because we refuse to embrace the full process. We want to graduate without studying. We want reward without responsibility. But real growth doesn't come from what you avoid, it comes from what you endure. Don't let social media fool you. You're looking at highlights and thinking it's reality. You're watching somebody else's finished product and comparing it to your rough draft. You see the applause, but you didn't see the agony. You see the stage, but you missed the sleepless nights. You see the success, but not the scars. The myth of the shortcut is that you think you can have what they have without doing what they did, and that is a lie. Hard work still matters. Commitment still matters. Patience still matters. Process still matters. Because when God is building you, He's not building for a moment, He's building for a legacy. He's not just trying to get you somewhere fast, He's trying to make sure that when you get there, you won't fall apart. You cannot be anointed for what you will not be accountable to. You cannot ask God to bless a future you're not willing to fight for, and you cannot cheat the journey. You have to walk it. You have to grow through it. You have to struggle with it. You have to face the fear, face the rejection, face the delays, because all of that is shaping you into the kind of person who can carry the weight of destiny. Don't let the world seduce you into speed. Don't let people pressure you into performance. Don't let your ego trick you into thinking you're ready before your time. Stay in the process. Let God refine you. Let life mature you. Let work train you. Because when you finally reach the place you were destined to be, you'll be able to stand strong, not because you skipped the steps, but because you survived them. And when they ask you, how did you make it? You'll be able to say with full confidence, I didn't take no shortcuts. I showed up when it was hard. I stayed when it got rough. I studied when others slept. I worked while they partied. I endured when it didn't make sense. And now I'm here not because I skipped the journey, but because I trusted the process. That is the truth. That is the real. And that is what separates those who shine for a moment from those who shine for a lifetime. Because the myth of the shortcut is this: what you try to skip today, you'll pay for tomorrow. But what you're willing to work for now will last forever. Success does not grow in the soil of laziness. It does not sprout from good intentions alone. It does not respond to empty prayers that are not backed by obedient hands and diligent hearts. You can speak in tongues, you can fast for 40 days, you can declare and decree all you want. But until you sweat, until you labor, until you grind with consistency and passion, success will not rise up to meet you. Because sweat is the seed of success. We live in a generation that wants harvest without hustle. They want the glory without the grit, the reward without the responsibility. But in the kingdom of God and in life itself, there is a principle that cannot be violated. You reap what you sow. Not what you wish for, not what you talk about, not what you post about. You reap what you plant and what you water with your work ethic. If you're not sweating, you're not sowing. If you're not willing to press, to push, to persevere, then you're not participating in the process that creates greatness. Sweat represents effort. Sweat is the physical evidence that you're engaged. That you are not passive about your purpose, that you are not idle about your increase. Let me teach you something real. Success is not an accident. It's not just a moment of good luck. It's not some magical alignment of stars. It is the result of repeated effort. It is a pattern of persistence. It is the overflow of unseen hours, long nights, lonely seasons, and painful sacrifices. Nothing grows without labor, not a tree, not a dream, not a legacy. You can admire other people's fruit, but until you're willing to sweat in your own field, you will never see your own harvest. That's why I tell people, don't just shout about the promise. Don't just dance in the sanctuary. You better get up Monday morning and get to work, because the promise is real, but it is activated by labor. Faith is real, but it is revealed through movement. God does not bless passivity. He blesses activity. The woman with the issue of blood was not healed until she pressed through the crowd. Bartimaeus didn't receive his sight until he cried out and refused to be silenced. The man at the pool had to pick up his mat and walk. The miracle came, but only after motion. Too many people are praying for what they are not working for. They're waiting for a breakthrough, but won't break a sweat. They want to be elevated, but resist effort. But elevation doesn't come to the entitled. It comes to the engaged. It comes to the disciplined. It comes to those who understand that every drop of sweat is an investment in the outcome. Your sweat is not wasted. Your sweat is sacred. Your sweat is watering something in the spirit realm that you cannot yet see in the natural. It's preparing the soil of your life for a blessing that will overtake you when the season shifts. But you must be found faithful in the field. You must be found working when others are watching. You must be found planting when nothing is visible, because what you're working for now will show up later. Success isn't just about what you accomplish. It's about who you become in the process of accomplishing it. Sweat builds stamina. Sweat shapes character. Sweat teaches you to endure when the applause stops and the lights go out. Sweat humbles you, grounds you, disciplines you, because success without discipline is destruction in disguise. And let me tell you, nobody sees the sweat. People see the outcome, but not the outpouring. They see the success, but not the sacrifice. That's why you can't work for validation. You've got to work from conviction. Because some of your greatest victories will come in seasons where nobody is clapping for you, nobody is calling your name, and nobody is watching. But you're still sweating, you're still striving, you're still pushing through the pain, the fatigue, the doubt. And you're doing it because you know what's coming is worth it. You might not have all the answers yet, but work with what you have. You might not be the most talented, but if you outwork them, you will outlast them. God gives favor to the faithful, not just the flashy, not just the famous, but the faithful, the consistent, the one who wakes up early and stays up late, the one who does the small things with excellence, the one who digs ditches even when it hasn't rained in weeks, because they believe the flood is coming. Your sweat is your signature on your dream. It's your agreement with heaven that says, I won't just pray for it, I'll work for it, I'll show up for it, I'll fight for it. And if you keep sweating, keep sowing, keep stretching, there will come a moment when everything breaks open, when the ground gives way and the blessing bursts forth, and in that moment you'll realize all the sweat was worth it. So don't despise the work, don't dread the effort, embrace it, because sweat is not your struggle, it is your seed. And if you plant it in faith, God will rain on it in favor. Hard work is not just about effort. It's not just about sweat on your brow and calluses on your hands. It's not just about getting up early and going to bed late. No, hard work is a demonstration of faith. It is a bold physical act that says, I believe in what I cannot yet see. Every time you work hard, you are saying with your body what you believe in your spirit. You are declaring to the world and to yourself, I believe that what I am building matters. I believe that my labor is not in vain. I believe that my future is worth the fight. Faith is not just shouting in church. Faith is showing up when it's hard. Faith is not merely quoting scriptures. It's rolling up your sleeves and saying, I trust God enough to move even when it hurts. I trust Him enough to build even when I don't have the blueprint. I trust Him enough to dig ditches when there's no rain in the forecast, because I know God said He's going to fill them. You cannot separate hard work from faith. In fact, if your faith doesn't push you to work, it's not faith. It's fantasy. The Bible says, faith without works is dead. That doesn't mean just religious work. That means real, tangible, practical movement. That means pushing the plow. That means stacking the bricks. That means starting the business, writing the vision, organizing the plan, applying for the opportunity, even if you get rejected 100 times. Because the work is proof that you believe. You can always tell what someone truly believes by how they behave. You say you believe God will bless you, but do you get up in the morning and prepare for the blessing? You say you believe He's going to elevate you, but are you studying for the position? Are you becoming the person who can handle the platform you pray for? Or are you waiting passively, hoping things fall into your lap without you ever lifting a finger? True faith prepares before the miracle shows up. True faith works while it waits. It builds when nothing is visible. It sows when there's no guarantee of rain. It trains when there's no audience, because faith understands that God doesn't reward fantasy. He rewards faith in action. Hard work is how you talk back to every doubt. It's how you silence every voice that said you couldn't. It's how you show yourself that even when fear is whispering, you're wasting your time. You keep grinding because deep down something stronger is shouting, keep going, something is coming. That's faith. When Noah built the ark, it had never rained. When Abraham left his home, he didn't know where he was going. When the Israelites marched around Jericho, there was no sign the walls would fall. When the widow poured the last bit of oil, there was no natural reason to believe more would come. But they all did something. They moved, they worked, they acted in faith, and because they worked in faith, God responded to their obedience. Let me tell you something. God blesses motion. God blesses movement. God cannot multiply what you will not start. He cannot pour into what you refuse to prepare. So many of us are waiting on God, but God is waiting on us. He's waiting for us to start digging. He's waiting for us to take the first step. He's waiting for us to show that we believe, not just in word, but in deed. You can't just speak it. You've got to work it. You've got to till the soil, plant the seed, water it daily, even when the sun is hot and the clouds are far away. You've got to keep showing up when no one is clapping, when the numbers are low, when your name isn't known. because you believe that God is not a man that he should lie, and what he promised he will perform. Some of the most powerful faith you'll ever express won't come through prayer, it will come through persistence. It will come through punching the clock when you're tired. It will come through studying late, serving quietly, and building carefully. And when people ask you why you keep doing it, why you keep pushing, why you keep grinding even when it looks like nothing's changing, you'll say, because I believe, my work is my worship, my hustle is my hallelujah. You may not see the fruit yet, but you keep watering. You may not hear applause yet, but you keep planting. You may not have a contract yet, but you keep preparing. Because faith is the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen, and hard work is the evidence. It is faith in physical form, so don't stop working, don't stop building, don't stop sweating, because every action you take, every move you make in obedience and belief is echoing in eternity, and heaven is watching. Heaven is recording. Heaven is preparing to release what your hands have already started. And when the breakthrough comes, and it will come, you'll be able to lift your hands and say, I didn't just believe with my mouth. I believed with my motion. I didn't just pray for it. I prepared for it. I didn't just dream it. I dug it out with my own 2 hands. That, my friend, is faith. And that kind of faith moves mountains. There's something powerful about understanding that God doesn't just hand over a promise. He prepares you for it. The promise is real. It's yours. But before you can walk in it, you must go through a process that shapes, stretches, and strengthens you. Because God is not just interested in delivering the promise. He's interested in making sure that you don't destroy it once it's in your hands. The process is not punishment. It's preparation. It's protection. It's God's divine way of developing you into the kind of person who can handle the weight of what's coming. Without the process, the promise would crush you. Without the trials, you wouldn't have the tenacity. Without the fire, you wouldn't have the focus. Without the rejection, you wouldn't learn resilience. Everybody wants the blessing, but not everybody is willing to be built for it. You don't just stumble into purpose. You're processed into it. You're formed in the dark, shaped in the struggle, built in the valley. It's in the moments of obscurity, when nobody knows your name, when no one is watching, when you feel forgotten. That's when God is doing his greatest work. Because the promise cannot come before the process, or you'll mishandle it. Look at Joseph. He had a dream as a teenager, a vision of elevation and influence. But before the palace, he had to survive the pit. He had to endure betrayal. He had to labor in prison. Why? Because the process was not trying to take the dream away. It was training him to lead with character, humility, and wisdom. The process gave him the maturity he didn't have when he first received the vision. And when the time came, when Pharaoh called him up, he didn't just step into the promise. He was ready for it. When God gives you a promise, it is often far bigger than where you are right now. It doesn't just require faith. It requires growth. You've got to grow into the version of yourself that can carry it. You've got to be stretched in your thinking, developed in your discipline, fortified in your spirit. And that happens in the process. See, the process will frustrate you. It'll feel slow. It'll feel lonely. It'll test every part of your patience. But that's because it's not just preparing your environment, it's preparing your insides. God is building your character to match your calling. He's strengthening your spirit to match your assignment, because he doesn't just want you to arrive. He wants you to last. Too many people abort the process and end up stepping into places they're not ready for. And when you enter too soon, you sabotage the very thing you prayed for. That's why you can't rush God. He's not being slow. He's being strategic. He's protecting you from premature elevation. Because if you rise before you're rooted, you'll fall under the weight of what you haven't been shaped to handle. The process will teach you what applause cannot. It will give you insight that information cannot. It will birth integrity, perseverance, and obedience. It will crush pride. It will expose weaknesses. It will sharpen your hearing. It will drive you to your knees. And in all of that, God is molding you, not for where you are, but for where you're going. Think about David. He was anointed king, but he didn't sit on the throne immediately. He went back to tending sheep. He fought lions and bears. He served Saul. He hid in caves. He wandered in the wilderness. Why? Because before he could wear the crown, he had to learn how to carry the weight of leadership without losing his soul. The process protected the promise, and it will protect you too, if you don't give up in the middle. If you don't despise the small beginnings, if you don't curse the waiting room, if you stop seeing the delay as denial and start seeing it as divine development, you are not being overlooked. You are being overseen. God has his eyes on you in the fire. He's measuring your growth. He's checking your heart. He's shaping your responses, because when he says, now, he doesn't want to see you fumble it. When the promise comes, and it will come, you'll be able to handle it, not because it was easy, but because you endured. You'll have a depth that only comes from surviving dry seasons. You'll have wisdom that was carved out in the wilderness. You'll have patience that was forged in prayer, and when people see your glory, they won't understand your story. They won't know what it cost you, but you will. You'll remember every tear, every sleepless night, every no, every lonely hour, and you'll say, God, thank you for the process. Thank you for not giving it to me before I was ready. The process is the incubator of greatness. It is where promise and pressure meet. And when you surrender to it, when you lean into the stretching instead of resisting it, you become unshakable, unstoppable, undeniable, because you didn't skip the process, you submitted to it, and now you're not just standing in the promise, you're standing strong. Everybody wants to shine, everybody wants the spotlight, everybody wants to rise, but not everybody wants to grind. Not everybody wants to pay the price that glory demands. Glory looks good on the outside. It's polished, celebrated, admired. But what people don't see is the grind behind the glory. They don't see the nights you cried yourself to sleep. They don't see the moments you almost quit. They don't see the loneliness, the pressure, the failure, the fear you had to overcome just to keep going. We live in a culture that celebrates the result, but it skips the process. It honors the product, but ignores the production. But let me teach you something deep. There is no glory without the grind. You can't have the crown without the cross. You can't enjoy the platform if you avoid the pain. Every great man or woman you've ever admired didn't just wake up into greatness. They had to grind through it. They had to labor for it. They had to struggle when nobody was clapping. They had to fight battles in private that the public will never know. The grind is not glamorous. It's not Instagram worthy. It's not always loud or seen. Sometimes it looks like staying up late when others are asleep. Sometimes it looks like showing up when you're not appreciated, working behind the scenes, giving more than you're receiving, pushing through fatigue, sacrificing comfort, saying no to distractions. That's the grind. It's the part nobody talks about, but everybody must pass through. You cannot be lazy and expect to walk in glory. You cannot be passive and expect results. You cannot want the reward without embracing the resistance. Because the grind is not the enemy, it's the environment in which greatness is shaped. God uses the grind to strip you of entitlement, to sharpen your skill, to refine your focus, to toughen your resolve. Without the grind, you would be too fragile to handle what you're praying for. You've got to learn to bless the grind, appreciate it. Because while others are trying to escape hard work, you're leaning into it. You're building stamina while they're taking shortcuts. You're gaining strength while they're looking for speed. The grind is where your character gets carved. It's where you become dependable. It's where you become consistent. It's where you prove to yourself and to the world that you are not here by accident. You are here by endurance, and let me tell you this, the grind will not feel good. That's why it's called the grind. It's uncomfortable, it's gritty, it's pressure-filled, but pressure always precedes power. The grape must be crushed to produce wine. The olive must be pressed to release oil, and you must be tested to walk in authority. So don't resent the grind, rejoice in it, because God uses it to anoint you for your next. The grind teaches you how to keep going when no one is watching. It teaches you how to develop internal motivation. It teaches you how to survive on vision alone, not validation. Because real glory doesn't come from applause. It comes from obedience. It comes from doing what you were called to do, even when it hurts, even when it's hard, even when it's heavy. You can't microwave mastery. You can't shortcut excellence. You've got to grind your way to the top. And the truth is, what you earn through hard work, you respect. What you build through discipline, you protect. You treat it differently when it cost you something. You walk different when you know the grind it took to get here. You speak different when your voice was forged through fire. You carry yourself differently when you know the weight of what you carry. And that's why the grind is necessary, because glory without struggle makes you soft. Success without the process leaves you shallow. God wants to prepare you so deeply that when you finally walk into the room, you don't flinch. You don't shrink. You don't apologize. You walk in saying, I belong here. Not because someone gave me a seat, but because I earned it. I labored for it. I survived for it. I grinded for it. So when the doors open, don't be surprised. When the opportunities come, don't act confused. You've been grinding, you've been preparing, you've been sowing, and now it's time to reap. And when the world tries to say you got lucky, let them talk. Because deep down you know it wasn't luck. It was labor. It was the grind behind closed doors, the decisions nobody saw, the sacrifices nobody praised. That's what built you. This is the season where God is calling grinders to rise. People who are not afraid of work. People who don't need to be seen to be effective. People who don't just want titles, they want transformation. People who are willing to sweat in silence until God elevates them in power. If that's you, then keep grinding, keep going, keep pressing, because the glory is coming, the reward is coming, the doors are opening, but they won't open to the gifted alone. They'll open to the grounded, to the focused, to the disciplined, to those who refuse to stop when it got hard. So remember this. The grind may be painful, but it is never pointless. It's preparing you, it's equipping you, it's proving you. And one day soon the grind will give way to the glory, and you'll be ready for it. So now you understand. There are no elevators to purpose. There are no shortcuts to destiny. If you want it, you've got to work for it. If you want to walk in the promise, you've got to pass through the process. If you want to wear the crown, you've got to carry the cross. There is no glory without the grind, no faith without the fight, no reward without the responsibility, and no victory without the discipline to push, press, and persevere. Hard work is the only shortcut, not the easy path, not the popular path, but it is the proven path. Because every time you rise early, every time you stay late, every time you sacrifice comfort for calling, you are testifying to heaven and earth. I am committed to my growth. I am serious about my purpose. I am preparing for my promise. Don't envy people who look like they got there fast, because if they skip the grind, they won't be able to sustain the glory. But you're not building on sand. You're building on rock. You're grinding in faith. You're laboring in obedience. You're planting in diligence. And when your harvest comes, because it will come, it will last. Because what God builds through process, He preserves through purpose. So walk out of this moment with a new fire, a new focus, a new respect for the grind. Let your sweat be your strategy. Let your faith be your fuel. Let your work be your worship. Because God is not going to bless your wishes. He's going to bless your work. He's going to crown your consistency. He's going to honor your hustle. And when that day comes, and it's coming, when the doors open, when the favor flows, when the opportunities align, you'll be able to say, this didn't come overnight. This didn't come easy. This came through tears, trials, and time. This came through the grind, and that's why I'm ready for the glory. So don't stop, don't fold, don't shrink, keep showing up, keep working, keep believing, because hard work is the only shortcut, and it will take you exactly where God always intended you to be.